From AIT Studios in Abuja, Nigeria, this is the O&M Late Show with Obiora Ilo and Mamode Akuga.
Hello there, thanks for joining us. It's another Friday evening, and this is the O&M Late Show. Well, tonight I'm lonely because my tag team partner is in faraway South Nigeria. Because for the first time we said, let's go feel it and know how Nigerians are preparing for this election. So Mamode is in the South. He started his journey from Uyo in Akwa Ibom State. He passed through Calabar, passed through Port Harcourt, went to Bayelsa, and ended up in Delta State. As I speak to you, Mamode is in Warri, getting ready to tell us what's going on in those areas. I'm Obiora Ilo, and as always, very glad to know you're sitting there and joining this big Friday show. Well, a lot is happening, but the biggest issue of the day is the elections tomorrow. Well, everyone says that on the 28th, we got it right. So a lot of Nigerians are asking and hoping and praying that we even do better tomorrow. So today on the show, we'll be talking about tomorrow's election. How ready are we? And what are the issues in contention? But before I tell you those that are in the studio waiting to talk to us tonight, it's important to remind us that about 760 candidates are contesting for the governorship seat around the country. Of course, about 5,290 candidates are contesting for the houses of assembly. And of course, you know that the governorship won't be taking place in 7 states. Those states are Kogi, Anambra, Bayelsa, Osun, Ondo, Edo, and of course, Ekiti State. In the same vein, it's also important to remind us that later on in the program, we'll be asking Nigerians what they are thinking about tomorrow's election. So we'll be hitting the streets in a moment to get the views of Nigerians. But let me also remind you that the factional speaker of the Ekiti State House of Assembly, Mr. Dele Olugbemi, says the claim by the factional speaker, Adewale Omiri, that they have directed the chief judge to constitute a panel and consider whether the governor has committed some impeachable offenses, that cannot be true. He is saying that since that order to the chief judge did not come from him, remember he's leading 6 assemblymen against 19 assemblymen. But he's saying that the man that is leading 19, who is saying that they have to start the impeachment processes on the governor, is talking errant nonsense, that he is the authentic speaker. Well, in the days to come, we'll know whether Olugbemi or Omiri is the man that will be calling the shots. Another cheering news which is contributing to all the glory that Nigerians are enjoying today is the naming of a 16-member federal government transition committee with a secretary. The committee is headed by the Vice President, Namadi Sambo, and their job is to ensure that there's a smooth transition from the Jonathan government to the Buhari government. The members of that committee include the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the Minister of State for Finance, as well as the Ministers of Justice, Transport, Police Affairs, and the Niger Delta. Cheering news, because like we all know, this is the first time we are transiting from one government led by a different party to another government, and it's all going so smoothly. So that's one up for Nigeria. And I did tell you that the elections, of course, is just tomorrow, with all the political drama and high expectations from the electorate about their preferred candidates. But many Nigerians have divergent views on the influence the presidential election of 2 weeks ago will have on tomorrow's election. In this report, O&M's Osita Okere brings the opinions and views of some Nigerians on tomorrow's election.
Relatively calm, with residents going about their daily routine peacefully. But as state global elections take center stage, you can clearly see the people in clusters discussing politics. The free newspaper readers are also not left out in the quest to get information on the current situation in states of the Federation ahead of the polls. The O&M news crew caught up with Usman Sadiq, a resident of the FCT, and his group of friends in a heated debate, or should I say argument, over the effect the just concluded presidential elections may have on the state elections. While some are of the opinion that the emergence of General Muhammadu Buhari as president-elect will have a lot of influence on the state elections, others held the contrary view.
I don't think it has any effect towards the gubernatorial election. This coming election on Saturday, which is tomorrow, you understand now, gubernatorial election, you understand. There will be no affection related to General Muhammadu Buhari's victory, because everybody has his own body which he wants to be a governor in the state.
Somehow, politically, you can't deny that. You can't put that aside. Definitely, people will look up to the type of president we have, and at the same time, they look at the caliber of people that will be selected at the state level as well. So that you can't rule that out.
Yes, it will influence, especially in the north, but in the southwest or the southern Nigeria generally, it might not work out to be like that.
I don't think Buhari victory over the presidential concluded election can affect the gubernatorial election in Nigeria.
They further held that the political future of Nigeria lies squarely in the hands of the people and not political office seekers.
Whoever who emerge in the state that win the election, I think we are all Nigerians. So nobody will be discriminating this or that because we are all Nigerians.
Democracy is deepening in Nigeria, and Nigerians has begun to understand the beauty of democracy, and there's nothing like partisan in Nigeria anymore. From just concluded presidential election, there's nothing like partisan. There's nothing like what did you call it, personality. It's all about performances and all that.
They, however, expressed optimism that the nation will experience a free, fair, and credible global elections devoid of violence. In Abuja, Osita Okere reporting for the O&M News.
Well, tonight, standing by to talk about tomorrow's election. First, we have a friend of the house and the man that is playing a very important role in the elections that we have seen so far, and of course, in tomorrow's election. We have Oluwole Osazi Uzi, Director of Voter Education at INEC. He'll be joining us in a moment. But we also have a very powerful team that will be looking at all the matters arising as we approach tomorrow's election. I have Joseph Amenerawon, Program Coordinator, Open Society Initiative for West Africa, OSIWA. Joseph is already seated. I have Samson Itodo, Head Research Policy Advocacy. Samson is here. And of course, we have Yemi Ademeleku, EDEIE Nigeria. They'll be joining me in a moment, so don't go away. It's a full package. Of course, Amamode is standing by in Warri to tell us about his trip through the South in a moment.
This This person is an old man I work for. Now he died. He looked after me when I was a Picanini. Please, we don't have money to take him to Wellington to get buried. Okay, bring him. No, we just put him here at the back. Please. No, man. Help me here. Please, my friend. No, help me here.
I can't. No, I can't.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. In the front. In the please, my friend. How?
No.
Oh.
Yes.
No. No. Let please.
No.
Oh, please. Okay. Okay, you know what? You know what? You've been shocked. It's a joke. Come here.
No.
Come here. There's a camera there. There's a camera there, you see? No, look out. He can just come in. Yeah. Okay, put him there. Okay, wait. Wait up. I want to go to the funeral. Okay. Can we get this in? Where? Yeah. At the back. Okay. Try to put in. Okay, 1 feet. Okay, doesn't. Okay. Yeah, this guy will. Can you? That is the old man. He's died. I want to go to the funeral, please.
Where?
In Wellington. You must just take me to Cape Town. We can put him in. Can we put him in the tank? Dumelang. Hello. Hello. I want to go to Cape Town.
Cape Town?
Yes, Cape Town. From there, we're going to the funeral in Wellington. Okay, thank you.
Hey,
Yes,
you cannot put that
put
in
the
the
coffin
taxi,
in the
man.
back here.
Hey, what you do, you can't
Okay,
that
put
in
him
the
in.
taxi. You can't take this
Yes.
coffin in there. People in my
want to
taxi,
see.
Joe. Nakubeta wena. Take this coffin out of my
Sorry.
taxi. Suga wena, suga.
Okay, put it down.
We don't want to
Yes,
take
take
what
him
you
out.
hear.
Okay, let's take him to Wellington.
I know not many of us will want to take that trip to Wellington, according to the man in that little short film that we took from the internet. You're watching the O&M Late Show, and joining me now is Oluwole Uzi, who is the Director of Voter Education at INEC. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you.
Pleasure seeing you again.
You're looking well.
Circumstances, right?
You know, after all this time, one would have thought that some of you will be showing some wear and tear.
Maybe not.
But thank God you're looking well.
Thank you so much.
I have my colleague Mamode on the line. He's been all the way from Akwa Ibom through Cross River, River State, Bayelsa, and ended up in Delta. Yes. Mamode, are you there?
Yes,
it doesn't look too good without you here, you know. I'm a little lonely.
I do miss you and I miss the show, but nice to be talking to you on the phone.
Yeah, Mamode, tell me about this your long trip from Akwa Ibom and then ending up
Yes.
in Warri. What is the political atmosphere like?
First, let me say that contrary to the original plan, which was also supposed to take me to Cross River, I could not make it to Calabar, but I've been through Akwa Ibom, been to River State, been to Bayelsa State, and eventually I am in Delta State in Warri at this time.
Mamado, you know we talked about the battleground states when we were together on the program on Tuesday. So let me start with Akwa Ibom. Did anything change from what you saw? Is it still?
Yes, quite a lot. Quite a lot has changed. The entire atmosphere is very, very different, and I must tell you that even amongst the people there, you will see a sense of, people who are trying to re-engineer, themselves as to get ready for tomorrow and participate, in the elections. The earlier projected, outcome of those elections may turn out to be different. We can't go into naming of parties just now, but there are 16 candidates contesting for governorship there, and but just 4 of them are relevant, really. But it will, amongst those 4, it will eventually boil down to just 2 of those 2 of the parties who are extremely relevant, and who eventually the entire battle will be between the 2 of them.
Mamode, let me quickly take you to Port Harcourt, River State. Has the violence come down? Is the tension coming down in Port Harcourt?
Regrettably, I would say the tension is not coming down yet. And I fear that even tomorrow we might have, some voters who will be very, very scared to go out and vote. I mean, the killings we have seen from Port Harcourt, River State, to be precise, are quite frightening. And there are quite a lot of voters who have expressed in very clear terms that no matter what, they would be sitting down in their houses, doors properly locked, and they will not be going out. So there's likely to be some voter apathy from River State. On top of all that, the governor of the state has asked members of his party to first seek out the election results sheets before they go ahead to take part in the elections. You have the director of voter education with you there. I'm sure this is not a proper.
No. He will talk about that. He will talk about that in a moment.
Yes, also I'm sure you'll be able to handle that. But the issue of violence is disturbing, very disturbing in River State. And so turn out tomorrow.
So let's move quickly to Bayelsa. It's not tense-soaked because there's no governorship election.
It is not at all. I can quickly report to you, of course, there's no governorship election just for houses of assembly. And funny enough, as small as Bayelsa is, one of the smallest in the country, you have elections that have been postponed for 8 constituencies as a result of lack of materials
in Bayelsa?
For conducting the elections.
In Bayelsa?
Yes, in Bayelsa State. So that is a little bit funny, but I'm sure the INEC official is in the studio there, our friend, will be able to speak more on that.
Okay, so you are in Delta.
Yes,
what is the temperature of politics in Delta?
Delta is upbeat. There is no fears about security situation. That is, tomorrow the contest will be between 3 candidates really, and a lot of people in Delta are waiting to see the outcome. Whoever becomes governor after tomorrow will turn around the politics of Delta one way or another. But it's quiet in Delta, it's peaceful, and people are upbeat. They are expecting to go out tomorrow, exercise their franchise.
You know, you promised to go to the INEC offices in those capitals as you were passing by. Did you do that? And are there promises of readiness for this election?
Yes, apart from the issue of Biafra, which I mentioned, which I mentioned now, I mean, the state of preparedness. For instance, at Akwa there's been a lot of talk about INEC. There were accusations that, INEC did not handle the presidential elections very well. They accused them of partisanship. In fact, a forum in Akwa Ibom Elders Forum, led by Senator Donny Kiebet, the Trecom Jackson and co, had to take a call to INEC office, and in fact, where they want the INEC rec there to ensure that tomorrow's exercise is free and fair. And the INEC rec has promised that it will turn out to be very, very free and fair.
Okay, Mahmoud, thanks a million. I hope you are not extending this visit. You'll be back here on Tuesday. We got work to do.
Most definitely. By Tuesday, the elections will be over.
Yeah.
And I'll be back in the studio.
It's okay. Thank you, Mahmoud. You want to say hello to Mr. Uzi here?
Okay, our friend Uzi. Mr. Uzi.
How are you, Mahmoud?
Well, I was excited watching you calling out all those professors giving out those election results. How did you
Yes.
Quite strange as well, thank God.
Okay, Mahmoud, thank you. You have fun, but stay safe. Don't get into trouble.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, Mahmoud actually reminded me of something. When Orubebe started that comic drama that we saw as the elections were being, the results were being announced. You were standing there.
Yes, I was.
What was your reaction? Were you scared in any way that, look, this was a calculated effort to truncate, what we have all planned for years and months?
Well, initially, I did not have that opinion, but subsequent events, subsequent things people have said seem to suggest that it was a calculated plan to do certain things to derail the whole process of the transition. I don't know whether that is true or not. I have no facts to verify that, but it was disturbing. Like every other person in the collation center, he was a party agent. Party agents are entitled to be there as of right, and you can question things. You can draw the attention of the returning officer to any untoward thing you thought had happened or was going on, and he was offered that opportunity. Surprisingly, it turned out to be something else. You made a point, but you did not want the returning officer to say anything or to respond. And then it turned out to be a personal attack on the returning officer and not necessarily attacking the process that led to where we were at. So it was quite
But a lot of people are still surprised that INEC or the security agencies have not instituted an action, because according to our electoral laws, nobody could, stop the announcement of the results and all that. All these things were taken care by our laws. Why is he not being prosecuted?
Well, there's a lot of gray area there. Agents are allowed to be there, as I said. Agents are allowed to protest. Agents are there to protect the interests of the party.
Are they allowed to
but not to
the
be
process?
disruptive? Nobody is allowed to be disruptive. And the returning officer has control over the collation center for that time he's there. INEC has a power to prosecute those who have breached the Electoral Act. But there must, again, be a process which must be followed. And part of that process is an investigation. Even though you say ex facie, it happened, everybody in the world could see, but you still have to follow a process. INEC cannot just wake up and start prosecuting.
Has INEC initiated an investigation?
INEC has no power to investigate.
Okay.
The investigative powers of the state remain with the security forces.
Has INEC made any complaint to the agencies?
I'm not aware of any complaints. I'm not aware of any specific complaint. But I know that several...
And a lot of people were a little worried that with all the security in the place, that no effort was made to take him out of that environment. I'm not a security man, but I know if in more advanced climes, at least he would have been restrained.
Well, that probably, as turned out, may have been counterproductive. He had a right to be there. And I believe that the chairman of the commission, who was the returning officer, could have asked the security force to walk him out of the collation center. But he didn't feel the need to.
I think he handled it so maturely.
Well, thank you. And
okay, let's not waste time with someone's rascality. Let's talk about tomorrow.
Yes.
How ready are we? There's been talk about the card readers not being at their best on the 28th.
Yes.
So many misunderstandings. We heard about people not removing the cellophane or something on it.
Yes.
And then saying that it was not functioning.
Yes.
Have you taken care of all that now?
Well, these are machines, but we have done all we think we can reasonably do in the circumstances to ensure that they function properly. We did find out that some had factory faults, not too many, mind you, but those were taken out of the system. We found out that the sensitivity of the scanners in some were needed to be tweaked a little bit. That has been done. The technical people have been there to look at the things and examine each and every one of them. In addition, the support system has been built up and beefed up such that if there's any malfunction, there'll be possibility of quick, prompt replacements in case those malfunction. In addition, there'll be more training for those who are going to handle them. So we believe we've taken care of those loopholes, yes.
Okay, some of the issues we had at the presidential election, in Rivers State, for instance, the governor did accuse INEC and INEC officials of coming without, there was a particular paper.
Result sheets.
Result sheets.
Yes.
Did INEC investigate that? Is that true?
That is under investigation, and we found no evidence of that being the case.
But we saw him at the particular polling booth
making an allegation.
Yes, and nobody denied it, even there.
Was it well founded? Was it a founded allegation? It's easy, like drinking your cup of tea. Making an allegation is an easy thing to do. But was there any evidence backing that? That's what people should ask. And secondly, did he have a right to make the demand that he did?
Oh, he didn't have a right to ask for...
As a voter.
For the result sheet?
That is why you had party agents. That's why Mr. Rubio was in the collation center. He was a party agent. His party had an agent there. Agents were accompanying the materials from the central bank to the state office, from the state office to local government to racks, and on to the polling units. They signed for those things. They witnessed the whole process from beginning to end. And that is the duty of an agent. The law says if you want somebody to represent your interest, you appoint an agent. Not later than 7 days to the election, you send the name to the commission, which they did. And all along this process, all parties that were interested sent agents, and agents accompany these things. For that purpose, anybody coming to the unit is just a voter. And yours is to come there and to vote if you want to remain, wait to witness the process. You have no right to making demands when your agent, if you had a complaint, you tell this agent. You have no right, because we don't recognize the governor, we don't recognize the president, we don't have ministers, senators. No. For that purpose, you are an individual, a voter like every other person. There's no hierarchy.
Okay, let's talk about the accusations of underage voting in the north.
Yes.
There were a lot of, we saw in the internet. These days, you don't know what to believe and what not to believe. There was so much in the internet.
Yes.
We saw underage children. I didn't need to be a doctor to know that they were underage.
Yes.
And then there were accusations in the southeast, for instance,
yes,
of a lot of rigging.
Yes.
In this, are you investigating some of these allegations? And have you put some, have you made some efforts to ensure, for instance, that tomorrow that we're not going to see underage children, assuming they partook in the last election? What have you put in place to ensure that this does not happen?
Well, the truth be told, there's a limit to what you can do within 2 weeks to rectify certain things. There are also systemic things that will take much longer time, but preliminary investigations have been undertaken. Unfortunately, we also saw some of these images. we as a commission cannot tell whether these images are genuine and whether they relate to this particular election and whether they were not state-mandated or not. It's difficult to say. And people really didn't come forward to verify some of these allegations, some of these facts that were being put there. And you must be circumspect to deal with things that you just see like that are not backed by any hard evidence. That is not to say that there probably wasn't underage voting. But it starts from the registration process. And even in the process of filtration of the register, we had removed those obvious ones. You say a toddler, you know a toddler. But there are some people who are what I might term borderline cases. They are teenagers. They might be 16, they might be 17, they might be 18. Sometimes it's very difficult to tell. And in the registration process, you go to a registration center and there's communal, I don't know what to call it, communal rigging or communal deviation from things. And they say, look, you go there and challenge, are you old enough? Are you 18? Can I see evidence of that? And somebody comes and says, I'm the father, I'm the mother, I'm the elder brother or elder sister of this person. And it's 18. We don't feed very well. We're not like people like you from the city who are well fed, and some of us are malnourished. So that's why we look at smaller and younger than our actual age. How do you challenge those?
Okay, finally, a lot of places, materials came late.
Yes.
Have we sorted it out now?
Those that we can do something about, you make plans, and sometimes those plans go awry. We had a memorandum of understanding with the National Union of Road Transport Workers. We have engaged them since that time, and they had an MOU, and that MOU, you were to be paid, for example, 50% upfront and then 50% upon completion of the exercise. In many places, we said, no, we must get our complete money. We don't know whether we'll see you, or it might be difficult getting little misunderstanding here and there, which unfortunately and regrettably caused delays.
But is it worked out now?
We believe so.
Okay. Director of Voter Education, Oluwole Uzi, we thank you as usual for coming and bringing us the latest stories about readiness of INEC and all that. I mean, it's reassuring.
Thank you.
And I must thank you.
A pleasure again. Thank you.
Thank you. As usual.
Oh, another one again. Great. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
When we return, we have our distinguished panel look at some of the matters arising as we prepare for tomorrow's election. Don't go away.
Buhari himself is an issue. Just as the Buhari organization has made Goodluck Jonathan an issue.
We have laws, we have institutions set up to fight corruption.
Advocacy for the Chibok girls is born out of what they symbolize.
The average Nigerian wants to know, what do you have for him? Fani Kayode was with us for a while.
What happened?
I think he came on a journey and discovered that we're too.
It's your Friday show, the O&M Late Show. And our distinguished panel is joining us now. Joseph Amenerawon, I mean, he's going to correct me on that when he gets here. Program Coordinator, Open Society Initiative for West Africa, Siwa Samson Itodo, and Yemi Adema Lekun are here. So, who is coming first? Sam, you're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yemi, you're welcome.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
Good, good.
Joe, you're welcome. Please sit down. Thank you. Well, you've been with us from the start, and you heard my colleague who called in from South, and of course, you heard the Director of Voter Education. Are you convinced that we're ready for tomorrow? That some of the hiccups we saw on the 28th may not happen again tomorrow. Sam?
Well, I think the last statement he made, I hope so, was not reassuring. I must say that pronto. But I think that to a large extent we're somewhat ready because you look at it based on certain factors. First, the Commission had said they've conducted a post-mortem of the presidential elections. The challenges with the card readers have been rectified. One of the major issue is the fact that the presidential elections, the racks were not activated. So those camps where the electoral materials were supposed to be domiciled 24 hours before the elections were not activated, and that's why there was a difficulty in the transportation of the election materials beyond what the NURTW actually did. I think that whilst we raise fingers or we point accusing fingers on the NURTW members for their conduct, particularly in states like FCT, I think it's also important that INEC also performs its own responsibility and duty as enshrined in the Memorandum of Understanding between INEC and the NURTW. But I think the point needs to be made that any deliberate attempt made by the NURT to occasion delays tomorrow will be frowned at. This election provides us an opportunity to demonstrate patriotism, and they must understand that this is about our country. I think it's also important that the allegations of entreaties and pressure on certain election officials to compromise the process is not something we should take lightly. So the INEC on its part also needs to ensure that the polling officials are well monitored, ensure that the supervisors are also accessible to the polling officials. That's very, very key, something we need to really direct our minds to, because there are allegations here and there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yemi, when I was having my chat with the Director of Voter Education, I talked about what we saw on, at the collation point, where certain individuals wanted to disrupt the collation of results. From the reassurances we are getting, do you think that that may not happen again? Something like that may not happen again?
Well, I think people would always try to subvert any system, not just our electoral process, which is why we have laws that govern society about how people should behave, and then more importantly, where there should be penalties when people subvert those laws. So when Samson talked about NURTW and that it will be frowned upon, I was wondering sometimes if we don't need a little bit more than a frown when people subvert what is in place. So I would say that it's not that we may not see it happen. We probably will see people try in some areas where they think they can get away with it. The point is, do we have sufficient guards, sufficient checks, to put it that way, to ensure that those who might want to think about it or even want to attempt it don't get away with it?
But let me ask, don't we have laws that should take care of such behavior?
We do, we just don't tend to enforce them.
Because I'm surprised that INEC is saying that as far as they know, nobody has complained, nothing has been done. So as is usual in our system, it just becomes
Part of the challenge, I think, in fairness, and I'll defend INEC a bit on this, part of the challenge, I think, is that there's a lot of informal complaints. So something happened and I complained to Samson that I saw this happen, or I complained. Whereas INEC is, I guess, is waiting for a 10-page, like an official written petition with names, dates, time that somebody signs, and then they can act on it. But also INEC, on the other flip side, also has complained since 2011 about its inability, for lack of capacity, to prosecute a lot of the complaints that they get. So I think somewhere along that spectrum you have informal complaints to lack of capacity, and what the result is, nobody gets punished.
Okay, Joe, 28, the results, the president's reaction has been all glorious times for Nigeria. As we go to tomorrow, how do we, keep the speed? Because we'll be talking to a Nigerian who lives in New York in a moment, and you see the excitement about what happened. How do we, make sure that we keep moving at that speed, that we're getting better?
I think tomorrow is going to be really vital to how we see that building up. It's possible that people will lose tomorrow, for instance. What will be their reaction? Will they willingly also concede gracefully? We need to see that. And you clearly know there are some very critical states. Lagos, for instance, Rivers, and all that. So when these people don't get the right, what will be their reaction? Perhaps the president has said the president, let's see if people will catch up with this. If people do, it helps us to say we're building on something and we can begin to see a new way that our democracy is being consolidated. But if that doesn't happen tomorrow, we're likely to see more cases going to court. And that will probably prolong, our consolidation, so to say.
Okay, Dr. Uchenna Ekwo. Dr. Uchenna Ekwo is joining us from New York, the United States. Prof, are you with us?
Yep.
How did Nigerians in New York, where you reside, how did they receive the elections of the 28th and how it ended with the concession by our dear president? How did they perceive all that in the United States?
Quite frankly, it was a moment to really be proud to be a Nigerian. And most Nigerians shared the same view because it is something that has never happened. And why it's also so exciting was because, as you know, a lot of bad news have been coming from Nigeria. And in New York particularly, and as you may also know, in different parts of the world, Nigeria doesn't seem to have a very good image. So what really happened in Nigeria last month, honestly, has really changed the country and the perception of that country, and becomes a model for the rest of Africa. As a matter of fact, I have shared some thoughts with some other Africans, actually. A friend of mine who is also from the Democratic Republic of Congo told me how the chatting on the internet in Congo has been that everybody is now telling the president to emulate Goodluck Jonathan, to emulate Nigeria. And as a matter of fact, Ambassador Robin Rennie Sanders, the former U.S. ambassador to Nigeria, put it very pointedly, where she said that Nigeria over the last year was known in the news for a few key things, summed up as Africa's biggest economy and most populous country, plagued by corruption and facing major security challenges in the North Eastern, perpetrated by terrorist group Boko Haram. But with this successful 2015 presidential election, Nigeria's new summary headline for the foreseeable future is the powerhouse nation that can hold credible elections, even though with some irregularities and all that. It's really a point where you think Nigeria has turned the corner. But the challenge is you have to sustain that. But I must also tell you one other thing that's going on right now within the diaspora here in Nigeria. There is a particular video that is going all over the place. I think it's the Aoba of Lagos or something, where
the what?
And a segment of the country. There's a video that is circulating within the Nigerian diaspora in the US.
Okay.
Where a traditional ruler in Lagos told a segment of society that if they didn't vote for a particular candidate, that they were going to go to die or jump into a lagoon. So some of us thought it was undemocratic, and it really sends into a very bad signal and kind of paints the achievements we have recorded so far with the presidential election. So that's the perception. There is a great deal of happiness, and not just even within Nigerians in diaspora, but Africans as a whole, because it looks like the giant, Nigeria being the giant of Africa, is after all really coming to grasp with its major challenges.
Okay.
Nice leadership in the continent.
Okay, Professor Uchenna Ekwo, thank you so much. With what is happening now, maybe a lot of you will be running back to Nigeria to be part of nation building.
Perhaps.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the hope, really. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So, gentlemen, some good sides, some bad sides. I didn't know that the Oba Akiolu thing also got to the to the US. And then when we look at that, and with what happened with the elections, is it not like one step forward and 3 steps backwards?
You know what, Obira, let me just react to something swiftly. And is this question of the president conceding defeat? I think we're over celebrating this.
Maybe because that's the first time it ever
No, the
happened.
fact needs to be made that the fact it was glaring that the president had lost the election. It was only expected of him to actually do so. So he has done what he's expected to do. I don't understand.
Are you saying we should not commend him?
No, you see, we're over commending the president because our standards are so low.
No,
because our standards are so low.
The same way we over-criticized him.
No, I don't agree that we over-criticize him. For God's sake, he's a public official, and we have a duty to place a demand on government.
Yemi, do you agree with Samson?
Over-criticize, definitely don't agree. Over-commend, I think some people, yes. So the whole talk of a Nobel Prize and all of that, for me, I think is just ludicrous. But I do agree that there is a commendation for the fact that it simply is the first time, and the fact that even he didn't wait till even the official results had been announced. And if you take the fact that really within this context, the different pieces they were trying to say, don't concede, we can still do this. And the fact that he just took a decision and said, you know what, let me do this so there's no further discussions. I think it is worthy of commendation.
No, but I think the commendation should go to INEC more for actually organizing.
No, we've also commended INEC.
No, but we should over-commend INEC.
Well, you could say the same thing about INEC.
But you understand?
No, wait, sir.
No,
Joe, you have to weigh in on this.
No, I think
to Rivers people, they have a different opinion.
I think it's important to recognize the role that some of these actors play in calming things. People have said over and over the fact that the president had called, the incoming president really calmed a lot of nerves.
Yes.
And that is commendable. And for an individual to take that step is a whole lot of bravery. But the old-hearted thing about a Nobel Prize and all that, we could play that down.
The president didn't have any choice.
No, but this is very, very important, and it's very important for us to recognize. Let us recognize the role.
In Ivory Coast, Gbagbo knew that he didn't have any chance. But he made so much trouble. Lives were lost.
You see,
what's important is for us to recognize the role
Let's look at the context that we were operating.
Let's recognize the role he played. We don't know the full narratives of whatever happened on that day or led to that, but let's recognize that. But with regards to the Oba of Lagos, for instance, that's completely a different dimension to it. I think he became too over-involved in Lagos politics. And he probably wanted to demonstrate that, look, you guys, I understand you guys are going to sway this vote to some other candidate. I need to let you understand that this is my state, this is my terrain. If you guys do things differently, and you went really far, I'll throw you guys into the lagoon or something. It just doesn't work.
And some people say he was just giving a proverb or something.
Somebody even said that, I know Samson, for instance, was campaigning that, look, can this guy be dethroned or something? Or probably, somebody even said, let's find a way to suspend this fellow.
But Yemi, don't we have laws? I'm coming to you again about these laws. I thought that traditional rulers were insulated from partisan politics.
True, they should, but I think we know that got thrown out a while ago. I mean, even if it's all the past general elections, the fact that Mr. President paid visits across the country, and with it came financial compensations for people to vote certain ways, obviously. And I don't recall any pictures of General Buhari doing the same thing across traditional palaces. But as an aside, I think one of the interesting things, and I wish I knew the Yoruba proverb, that actually is a Yoruba proverb about water, and anybody who goes against water will be swallowed by the water. So it's not necessarily the Oba saying he will throw them in the water, but some proverb about Lagos and water. And
what we know is that the guys that didn't go his way would end up in water, one way or the other.
So there was water somewhere.
There was water, exactly, and people will end up in it. And I think it is quite unfortunate, and It will be interesting to see how I mean, I was coming into Abuja today, and at the airport people were joking about them buying swimming suits.
Swimming suits.
Yes. They're getting ready to go into the lagoon.
Anyway, let's go to our Twitter page. The well, I didn't get that right, but it says INEC should be able to take a stand concerning the Oba Lagos hate speech on Igbos. What can INEC do?
Well, INEC can actually activate its power, and she's got prosecutorial powers based on the provisions of the Electoral Act. And what we expect the Commission to do is to activate those powers. Well, we understand, like Gemi earlier highlighted, yes, in terms the lack of capacity. When we say lack of capacity, the human assets that are actually required to prosecute electoral offenses, I strongly think that for the Oba to actually make that statement, for someone who is expected to be above board to have made that statement, I think INEC should prevail upon the Oba and activate its power. It's just that, well...
Gentlemen, time is never enough. I must thank you for coming on the show. As usual...
Thanks for having us.
We have our small...
You know, next time we come, we'll be the ones who will bring
we'll be glad.
Okay.
You're always traveling, so a lot of mementos from the palaces and countries you go to. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All those gentlemen. She's gentle.
No.
In this business,
everybody's
a man.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you so much. That's how we end today's edition of our program. Don't forget that you need to do your civic duty tomorrow, and let's do it again on Tuesday night. I am Obiora Ilo from Abuja, Nigeria. Thanks for being with us.
From AIT Studios in